When you get older, you get lazy. And there's two ways you can go about it. You can get lazy because you've seen too much, you cannot react, but you can actually get virtuously lazy. And I think that's kind of an understated quality. Effort is a youthful thing, and I'm still a young man in a lot of people's eyes, but eventually you just see so many things you stop giving, the rat's ass about. You stop caring about things. And if that's actually a bunch of the things that just didn't matter in the first place, that's kind of the best part about getting a bit older and maturing. Like, I look back as a kid and I'm like, you couldn't drag me back to that. Like, the only benefit of youth is you're further away from death. I honestly could not stand being young. It was just irritating. But I for the first time in my life, I always kind of kept my head straight and away from like certain types of people. And for the first time in my life, I've really had to intellectually dissect people that would actually be friends or be nice to someone and not mean it. And I just couldn't give a shit about that before. Like, it's so much work. There's no point to it. And it's embarrassing. And so you have to somehow go past that shame for ever reward. It's never a reward if you actually, have to deal with the emotional consequences because you're not completely insane and like staring at the walls and going to every single direction, so you have no sense of reality or sense of self. So anyone who's actually centered in themselves has some reality. And that makes you lazy in a good way. And that's, my tea is being made. That's virtuous laziness. And, you can say it's wabi-sabi or it's, minimum effort, but it's honestly one of the greatest virtues you can develop. It's not giving a shit. It's just not being affected or just not being attached. I guess laziness in itself can be a sense of unattachment so long as it's virtuous. You got to stand up for the right things, because then you're just being negligent or you're not doing anything of importance or meaning, right? But there's so many things you just don't need to do. In some ways that's kind of like Eisenhower, the Eisenhower matrix. You break it down to 4 sections and it lets you prioritize what you got to do. But the reality of the Eisenhower matrix is you just have a bunch of things you just drop because they're just not important or urgent, right? And if you consider virtue an important thing, you consider acting in appropriate times to preserve virtue important, well then doing the right thing becomes important, urgent. Like, I don't want to get too Eisenhower militaristic about this, but virtuous laziness is absolutely, and I say this with a complete sense of irony, a slept-on virtue. Because you know what? When things are try-hard, not only do they usually suck, they're kind of usually a malformed homunculi. Anyways, my tea's almost ready. Okay, so an addendum now that I've got my tea. All right, well, Jordan Peterson. It's the trope for the guys. You know what? Clean your room. You gotta learn to be a monster. Hopefully I'm not paraphrasing too harshly, but I mean, it's like maximum effort. It's a ton of effort. And it's just, I think where I diverge philosophically is don't do anything stupid. It takes too much work. The fallout is too much work. And, I don't know why people don't see that as kind of the basis of good philosophies. It'd be best if you didn't do anything stupid. That's it. Clean your room. Put all the effort clean your room. Put all the effort into everything you want. If it's stupid, it's a waste of time. You know what? If you got to be somewhere else, don't clean your room. Get what's important done. Wasting your time on something that's just going to be a vanity metric is stupid. It's too much effort. You run yourself rampant. Is that how it goes? Ragged. Run yourself ragged. Yeah. And, why? Why put in that much effort? Like, what possible drive is that? You want to please people. Like, you don't want to please yourself, because if you want to clean your room because you please yourself, you'll clean your room, right? If you want to do that while your life is falling apart and you're avoiding other things you should deal with, then don't clean your room, man. Focus on things that matter. Don't focus on things that don't. You know what I mean? And sometimes this monster stuff is just... monstrosity is a poor man's resilience. Like, you don't gotta be a monster. You gotta be a warrior. You gotta be a bushi, a samurai. You gotta get yourself straight, but that does not make you a monster. That arguably makes you a decent man. Well, I have important things to attend to. Talk soon.